Well, today I thought I'd show you around my home studio a little bit. I've done this before, but it's been a while, and I've had some updates, and so I thought I'd just kind of share here and show you exactly what I have here and kind of what I've been doing. I'm going to move the camera around a little bit here. Right now we've got perfect light because I have all the lights set up, but you'll see as I move it around here, the lighting's going to change. That's one of the things we'll talk about. I'll just kind of show you what I've got. All right, so let's see, where do I want to start here? Well, first of all, this studio was built by my friend Barry Brown, which I really appreciate. And one of the big concerns you have with an in-home studio like this, is obviously sound getting in to the studio. When people walk upstairs. So he insulated the ceiling. We've got acoustic tiles, plus we've got insulation in the ceiling. And it's kind of unusual in an inside room like this to insulate the walls. But again, for sound insulation, to keep sound from coming in, he insulated the walls. Now, these things you see on the outside here, this is for a different purpose actually. Right there I have some commercially bought sound tiles, and they work pretty well, but what those do is they cut down reflections against that wall. And what I found out is those only help really with the high frequency reflections off the wall. They don't do anything for the bass. These packing blankets I have on the wall basically serve the same purpose. I think I got those first, and then later some of these commercial tiles. Anyway, it's for the same purpose. It's to keep things from reflecting off the walls, frequencies, which sound terrible in the microphones. This was a cement floor, so now I've got carpet remnants all over the floor just to keep the reflections down off the floor. You'll see that I've got, I apologize, I know this really looks like a mess, but there's wires everywhere. But I've got lots of different mics for different purposes. Maybe we'll talk more about those. But anyway, here is my drum set. And I mentioned in another video, this is a jazz drum set. It's a small set. It has really thin heads on it, which works great for jazz. But I've been wanting to record more rock tunes basically lately. So I've been looking at different things that I can do to get a better sound out of these. There's all kinds of different options. I could get thicker heads for these drums, but then the problem is every time I go to play a jazz gig, I'd have to take them off, which would be a real pain. So I think I'm going to buy a second set just for recording the rock. A little bit bigger drums with thicker heads. And then I mentioned in another video, I've been experimenting with triggers over here. You can see on that floor tom there, that little black thing there, that's a trigger. And that's what all these orange wires are going to a drum machine over here. And so I've been experimenting with this for a while. And I'm sure everyone watching this has experienced, basically going down a rabbit hole where, you chase, or you think you're chasing a rabbit down a rabbit hole and you're going through all these different directions. And then later you find out the rabbit was not even in the hole, or the rabbit was dead or something. I don't know. But anyway, I've been trying to get these triggers working the way I wanted them to for a very long time. I actually built some of my own, actually got out the solder gun and all that, and I wasn't happy with those. So then I bought some triggers, and I've been trying to adjust them, the sensitivity of these triggers and things like that. They're like tiny microphones is what they are. I had talked to a guy a little while back who told me one of the restaurants I was playing at, he was a drummer, and he's done a lot of recording and done a lot of different things with electronic drums. When I told him I was trying to do this with these triggers, he said to me, "Well, good luck." And I said, "Well, what do you mean?" He said, "You will never get those triggers to do what you really want them to do." So after lots of trying, I've kind of decided he was probably right. So I'll probably end up selling this drum machine, which I bought used anyway. So back to the room here. So I have done some sound treatment on this room. And then my parents are going to be visiting here over Thanksgiving. And I found out there are some wall sound absorbers you can make. They absorb a lot of bass, lower end. And so I'm going to have my dad maybe help me make some of those while he's here. We're going to put at least several back in this area where I record the drums. And in the corners, you really want to round off those corners with something, with some absorbers, so that what happens is it collects a lot of bass in there. It just doesn't sound good. So we may work on that as well. Anyway, I'll describe that maybe more in another video after we get that done. But what else I want to show you here? I have several mics here. This is a condenser mic, and it picks up the whole set. And nowadays you can get these mics really, really inexpensive. I got this one for like $100, and many years ago I probably would have paid $1,000 for that. But they make them inexpensively in China. I have a microphone just for recording the bass drum, and this is, supposed to be pretty much the industry standard for bass drum. And again, I think I only paid about $100 for that mic. So they're not super expensive. They do add up. Here's another condenser mic for recording another part of the drum set. What else? Over here, again, you're going to have to excuse my mess, but this is another small pencil condenser mic. I have two of these, and I actually got these originally for recording upright bass. I'm going to use those to record my drums, because if you put two overhead, you get like a stereo sound. So that's what I'm going to do next. When you're shooting videos, lighting makes a huge difference. So let's see if I can get you a good shot of this here. This is my ring light. I felt like a 12-year-old girl when I bought this. They all buy these to make like makeup videos on YouTube and stuff, but they really do help as far as giving you more natural light. I didn't know when I bought this, it only works if you're fairly close to it. They're really not for long shots. So if I'm trying to take a picture of or a video of my drum set from along the whole thing, it doesn't work very well. So I didn't know that when I bought that. But anyway, it has its purpose. This is a floodlight I use for a side. It's called a fill light. And then I've got just a piece of cardboard against the wall here. All those things I've taken into consideration. The camera that I used to use to do my videos, it didn't work well in low light. So it was really crucial to have decent light. With this camera I've got here, this is a Canon camera, a really nice, I think it's called a Canon PowerShot. It works a lot better in low light, so it's not quite as crucial. But I actually, what I was saying before about that ring light, because I found out that doesn't work for long shots, I found out it was better to leave the overhead lights on in the basement while I video, which I never used to do, because it used to give a really terrible picture with my phone. Anyway, this has automatic everything, automatic focus and all kinds of, I don't know what all it does, but anyway, it works really well as long as you give it enough light. I think that's about it. I mentioned in another video a few weeks ago how I do my recordings, so I guess I don't really need to talk about that. One thing that I think people find a little bit unusual, I have this newer computer over here that I use for recording. That one beside it, the reason I have that is I have a lot of old recordings and programs that run on that, and I can only access those basically with that old computer. So I keep that. I do have studio monitors for mixing. Those are pretty nice speakers, Mackie speakers, but I do really most of my mixing these days on headphones, because then the room sound does not influence the mixing at all. Anyway, so I hope you found that interesting. I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have about my studio or the recording process, and thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.